Alright, welcome to the Justimon gameplay guide. It is time to show them the power of a rider. Here we are going second, and I decided to keep this hand just because I have the full line. The win con of this deck is to try to digivolve all the way up to the stack. I want to establish the Dorus so I can mind link with my Kosuke's, and yes, I am playing that package, which I find the most unique and the most fun to actually synergize all together, giving all the resources I need to help me set up for potential OTKs. I want to have the device option cards set up on the board. I want to have delay options, as a matter of fact, so I can use them as resources eventually to combo and synergize with all my other effects to either trash the opponent's security, unsuspend, make multiple checks, and finish them off. We are playing against heavy metal Digimon here, so we have to respect their deletion effects, where we're not going to gain a lot of protection from the dorumon because it doesn't protect from deletion. They can delete by effects, and they can even swing over us with massive DP power. So I notice I have a Punkmon here. I'm going to immediately go into Cyberdra Ace. There's not going to be able to taunt to go into the Daruga because I don't have the Kosuke during that moment. I kind of drew them after the fact. So, but at least I can de-digivolve. That lets me establish and play out the Tamer with Kosuke. One of the things to keep in mind in this deck generally when you're playing is that when you mind link with Kosuke, you can only mind link with SOC and X-Antibody cards, meaning I can't mind link with the Cyberdramon Ace. But if I have a Cyber X, or when I go into Justy X, I can start mind linking non-stop, and it'll be really good because I can actually draw lots of cards. Gaining the piercing and blocker is also nice as secondary, although we gain those kind of effects as we go for bigger combos anyways, but I ideally really like it as my memory setter, and I can just keep mind linking in and out every turn just so I can cycle and draw and find all my pieces. And so that now I have a second Dorumon established in the back. I have another Kosuke, I have a Ryo. I'm pretty much set up and ready to go. And looks like the opponent is going to be coming down with quite a number of Impmons. They probably would want to start attacking into us, and I'm actually worried with a few things, because if they do try to attack, I'm thinking if I want to go into the Justimon Ace or not. Now, I do gain Digimon effect immunity, but I gotta be careful because they do have removal option cards that they can sometimes get into, such as Black Sabbath, which doesn't protect me, but they can use it from the trash, even though the hand destroys a level 4 or lower. But it feels like they're trying to bait me into something. They might be trying to bait me into blocking, because I feel like they can go into potentially one of the newer Loudmons, and the new Loudmon can gain a massive amount of DP, and then they can just swing over me. Honestly, even they can go into the older Loudmon, and they still might be able to crash right into me 1-for-1, depending on what the DP numbers are. But yeah, the new Loudmon can gain extra 4 and make it final attack as well. With the Yuki that they have, they can raid into our Justy, so I'm being very cautious, not just going straight to my ace. But now I have the opportunity, because now I push out Doru. Doru gets the mind link Kosuke from my hand. I get the protection, but now by going into Darugamon, I can taunt their Punkmon. Knowing that they don't have anything in the back with raising, we can pretty much hard punish them and set up for a game-winning condition for us. And now I'm going to go ahead and finish off with a Queen device. And the nice thing with these device cards is that you get to ignore the color requirements as long as there is not the same device present in the battle area set up already. So by stopping their when digivolving effects and DP reducing gives us a chance to basically counter and block against them to get rid of that Punkmon once and for all. Once again, I'm also still playing around that potential Loudmon, and here we notice that they made a mistake. They started digivolving before entering starter main. Starter main, they have to go ahead and make the attack first, which we caught it, so it's all good. So now I'm actually going to take advantage of that free evo of the Justimon Ace so that I can choose now to block something and pretty much have a free evo to get into something that is completely immune to Digimon effects, knowing that it is not their push out turn, so they can't come out with a rookie to continue to build up again. They're gonna have to start hard playing things in order to actually get themselves there to potentially deal with our board. But if they can't, we are pretty much set and ready to go for the finishing OTK attacks into them in the following turn. I'm gonna show you guys exactly how to do it. First, we're going to go ahead and cycle through with our cards with Ryo just to draw additional cards, put up devices, go ahead and mind link, draw as many cards as we can to see what we have, go into Dex Dorugamon, continue to draw and cycle without paying any memory. We get to gain a memory as a matter of fact, and also get blocker Retau. And then now I'm going to digivolve in the back into a Doru and see what I can get into. I kind of want to go into a Cyber X, but I can't anymore because I chose to digivolve into Justy. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, before going into Justy X, I want to go ahead and make some attacks, unsuspend with Justy Ace, and then I could trash the Rook device to do that so that I can also gain extra 2k with Reboot Blocker. One check is fine. Now I can safely go into Justy X. My power levels should be good enough and high enough to take over almost anything. And then I'm seeing like, okay, I could go ahead and swing 2 checks. I can trash another one of my own options to unsuspend. The device, queen device there doesn't matter anymore, but I can go for another 2 checks. Then I can go into my nice little tech with the Axel arm, which I kind of like because it pretty much recycles my Justy X right into the hand. And then I can now Digivolve Justy X on top of it if I wanted to, but I still go for the 2 checks anyways, and I secure the game with Dex dorumon. Alright, this game we're facing off against the 3 Great Angels, and we are going second, and I decided to keep this hand because I do have a level 3 and level 4 to work with, so I can easily Digivolve up the stack if I need to. And having Dorumon is great. I just need to go ahead and find Kosuke and then my level 5, and then I can go into my Justy eventually. And I set up the Pada with a yellow memory boost, finding cards that they need as well. So I'm just going to Digivolve in the back, but no other really big follow-up I can really do here to set up or to do too much. So I feel like the only option is really just go ahead and use that King's device for the 4 cost. Place it in the battle area. We're not going to get any of its effects, which is kind of unfortunate, but at least we put the opponent down to 1. I guess the other argument is I could have just Digivolved into dorumon in the back and just draw a card, but I felt like if I waited one more turn for a potential Kosuke, it could be looking very good for us in the following afterwards. So I decided to not want to give them too much memory to work with either after, because even if I Digivolved into Doruga, I wasn't sure what I could play after to pass the turn. So they're going to go ahead and do their Patamon stuff, starter main, going into Gato, gaining a bunch of memory, now also going into Magna Anja, and pretty much going straight into a Domini so quickly, which is just absolutely insane. We're a really powerful deck as well. Domini is pretty much going to let them play something back, but before that happens, they get to play something back with Magna too, because they Digivolved, and now they go ahead and play a Magna from security, basically looping and chaining and domino affecting their combo here to go into a second Domini, and then now they can go back in there and play another thing out if they wanted to, depending on what they have. They can't actually play this Rapidmon just because it has to be Angel trait related specifically, so it looks like they don't have anything that they really want to play here to continue on. And look what we found. We found the Kosuke and top deck, which is absolutely insane and crazy. And yeah, that's the times that I play with patience, because there are chances that I can find these and grab these pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and Mind Link right away, getting that protection effect, although I don't feel like it's going to be that great against 3 Great Angels anyways, because they have DP reduction, which pretty much deletes us. So our protection is not going to give too much, but we're going to go for Cool Boy, find a piece. We're going to go ahead and taunt one of their Dominis to make sure they can attack. And then here, I'm just thinking, does it make sense to Ace? I think I have a Cyberdramon Ace at the time, and I'm just really debating if I should go into it just to de-Digivolve them. But in the end, I let them to go through because I felt like if they had another level 6, such as another Domini or another Cherubi, they can easily go into it and pretty much DP reduce us, potentially getting rid of our Digimon. But here we get punished either way because they just hard drop the Angelwormon Ace, trashing their own security, and then they minus 6k, which pretty much gets rid of our stack, and we have to build from square one all over again, which is really unfortunate. And I think looking back, I should have went for the Ace play, especially if I had it. Then that way I could have at least cycled 1 extra card and see where I'm going from there. But I'm also worried I don't want to give them Ace Overflow. So that was the whole reason why. But now they're going to establish so much momentum off of this. They're going to gain a ton of memory with the Padawan starter main, even putting them to 1 memory to start off their turn. They're going to gain like 1 from Pada, 1 from Gato, and then another 1 from the other Pada and the Inheritable, and they get to draw cards. They get to be at 3 memory, which is pretty insane. And they can just chain a bunch of stuff here. Now they get to easily pretty much finish us if they have those pieces. If they had a Cherubi Ace, they can simply just go into it, play out a body, and then pretty much clear our Dorumon, and then Alliance 2 checks, and then check with the rest of the Dominis, assuming they don't run into anything like crazy with bombs. But they have a pretty safe game plan, pretty much. They're going to go ahead and attack with the Gato first. And here now, thinking back, yeah, I really probably should have just blast Digivolved into the Cyber Ace just to get that momentum, because now this allowed them to snowball so hard here. and we're going to be forced to play from behind. They have a lot of security that they cycle through and they filter through to set up cards that they want that they can utilize for later on too. But looks like they don't have the Cherubi ace, so they come down with the TK, trying to fetch for additional pieces, probably just taking it slow because they have a lot of momentum here anyways. We have a little bit of setup. We did find like defense training there, which is good in our battle area, so we can use the delay and we can kind of climb up and see what we can do with the board. I do have the full line of pieces too, which is nice. So I can go ahead, push out the Doru, start a main, mind link again, draw an extra card, and then here I'm going to go into defense training to go into the dorumon, trash linking something, drawing a card, and then taunting something, which is always the tricky part here. Is like, because it really depends on what I'm trying to remove. I might want to force the Domini attack, so then I can blast Digivolve and de-Digivolve something. And in the end, I chose that Domini, but I think I really should have chosen the dorumon ace specifically, just because Domini is not going to be able to protect it by battle, and then if I ever blast, I can easily block into just the ace and all that. But this is also where I forgot the fact that Dex Dorumon would be able to attempt to delete that dorumon ace, which I can force a security trash off of Dominimon at least. But at this point in the game, we're playing so far from behind, it's just actually so difficult, and it didn't really change the outcome either way. So I'm just going to keep climbing up here. Not going to find anything off Cyberdra ace, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's okay. We still get to de-Digivolve. Now I'm really learning more of this matchup, because by de-Digivolving the Domini, which is really tricky, because now I have to play around the aces again. They have 2 level 5s that can go into any level 6 ace. They have a Gato, which they can easily go into a level 5 ace as well. And playing all around that is definitely quite difficult. But here with Cyberdra X, we get to further de-Digivolve 2, so that at least that turns into a Pada, and then they can't use that ace on top of that at least. But we still have to play around the other aces on the right side of the board. And this is where I realized I may have suboptimally used my memory during the entire turn. And there's 2 things that I could have done better, I realized. One is maybe not going into Cyberdra ace. Just the fact that de-Digivolve 1 is nice, but I may not be that necessary. Or I should have actually calculated my memory and used Protoform in the beginning to go underneath a Dorumon and then save the defense training to go into like Cyberdra ace later on, or go into just the ace, because now I'm awkwardly passing them back to 3 memory and I wasn't able to go into just the ace during my own turn. And that would have been huge, because I would have been able to actually swing over their bodies and pressure their security that way instead. So a bit of a throw on my end, but that was kind of hard to calculate as I was climbing up, because I have to use the Protoform like right in the beginning as well. And that way I would preserve that 1 extra memory and I'll be at 0. But now they're just going to go ahead and do the taunt attack. We're going to go ahead and blast into just the ace. We at least are going to be immune to their Digimon effects, so they can't DP reduce us. And here I'm thinking if I want to block this attack or not. Now the thing is, because they have Gatomon, it has barrier. And if we block the attack, they can just simply trash their security and stay there anyways. And I was thinking, wow, they got pretty much 8 memory to work with too. And it's a lot they can easily just climb up, and pretty much they have it at this turn. But I do have a secondary Justy ace, which I can potentially get into to possibly continue blocking some attacks depending on how they kind of sequence this. So we gotta watch carefully and see how they plan this out. Whether if they try to get rid of their Cyber ace first, then that will be bad, because that means then we can't go on to our Justy ace anymore. And I think they're actually contemplating and figuring out how to do that, which is pretty easy. Going into Cherubi and then playing out another body. And then with the promo Pada, they can search their security, grabbing something. It has to be 2 colors, that is yellow or black. So looks like they're going to grab the Magna Ange, that is the 2 colors, and not the 1 color one instead. They pretty much DP reduce their Cyberdra, gain ace overflow. They can easily swing 2 checks. Alliancing, we pretty much ran out of any plays that we can counter against them. They can finish off with Angelomon ace as well. And unfortunately, they got us this time. Alright, this game we're facing off against Savagamon, and we are going second, and this matchup can be somewhat tricky just because they can sort of like bottom deck us, suspend, swing over us. But as long as we have the immunity of Dorumon or immunity of Justimon, most of their removal effects are pretty much off the Digimon effects, so that we can't get bottom decked off of Doru, because that pretty much prevents us from being able to leave the battle area aside from deletion. Now, if we're worried about deletion, then we can at least go into Justimon and maybe prevent them from suspending us, and then they can potentially swing over us, because I know they play medieval Gallimon as well. So I'm going to take my turn slow and set up as much as I can, Digivolve Doru in the back, and see what I can do from here. Gonna go ahead and push out. Now, I don't have Kosuke to tuck under this time around, but that's okay because I feel like I had another rookie to work with, so I wanted to Psycho and Digivolve into the back at the next turn, and then I can use a Queen device to basically get rid of their rookie on their side. And then now they're coming back at us, and they're going to be trying to search their own as well to find their pieces, and they get to pretty much grab 2 hits. But this is pretty good because now I have a device there. I can use it to trash later on. I don't necessarily need to rely on Rio to get into it, or I have defense trainings that also help me climb up into my stack in the follow-up. So now they're going to go into the Grand Gallimon. They can use Vortex to pretty much attack, which allows them to, even the Digimon was played this turn, and get to gain the memory back and by suspending us down. Now we found our Kosuke, so we're going to go ahead and take it patiently and see what we can do. Like I always do before, I want to be able to Mind Link because I want that protection. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a King's device, and then in the next turn, I can go crazy and pop off and go into my stack since I have 2 defense trainings, not necessarily needing the Kosuke as my memory setter, just because I want to Mind Link it with dorumon here. And I'm pretty good position. I'm trying to see what they're going to do. They definitely really want to give us as little memory as to work with as possible as well. But now we get to go for our typical dorumon combos. Mind Link underneath from the hand, draw an extra card. Now we're going to use defense training to go into Dorumon. We pretty much get to trash one and draw one. We found a Rio there, but I feel like that's the early sort of game resource management that's kind of tricky, because sometimes you find all the cards you really want to keep, and then it's like you're going to have to trash away something, and then you have to draw into something that you're not sure of and that's unknown. But we're going to go ahead and continue to climb up into Dex Doruga, which gives us additional memory to work with, which is fantastic. Now we can go into Cyberdra, play out another secondary Kosuke, de-Digivolve them as well. They don't have immunity because they suspended our own Digimon there. And then we can go into Cyber X to also trash the Queen's device, play the Queen's device back as well, place it, and then DP reduce them, de-Digivolve them, getting rid of their stack outside there. And now one thing I noticed is because they do have a level 4 ready to climb up in the next turn, they start at 3 memory, they have a training to work with, they can easily get into a level 6 and maybe threaten our stack. Therefore, this is where I go into my Justimon preemptively to trash their delayed option card so they have less to work with, and at least we gain immunity so that they can't suspend and try to swing over us, because I have the immunity of Dorumon, so they can't bottom deck us, but there's nothing that sort of prevents them from suspending us and attacking into us. So now they just Digivolve in the back, and now we have a lot of momentum. We can start attacking aggressively if we want to. Justimon is at least 13k DP, so it should be somewhat of a safe swing. At this point, I really want to have a Rook device, which sadly I had the bottom deck there because I went for Cool Boy, because I also want to find a Justy X and start setting up there. And now I'm trying to see if I want to attack and suspend. What device cards am I going to be trashing there? There's no option cards I can trash on their end, so I'm going to have to use my own resources. So let's go ahead and trash the Queen, just to use Cyber X to trash their security, trash our King. Kings get to put the Queen device back, and now we're to go for 1 check with 13k, which we did manage to survive, which is good. But we pretty much gave them a green scramble, so they get to play out a Terramon rookie there and continue to find more pieces they need, which is not looking the greatest for us. So here, since I have a Dorumon ready to go in the back, I'm going to go ahead and set up as much as I can, and then in the following turn, I can go for another push out big stack combo play if I can climb all the way up. The only downside right now is that our Justimon ace no longer has any form of protection, and it's really dangerous. And this is one of the downsides of the deck, is that you have a lot of ace overflow, stacking the Justy ace, stacking the Cyberdra ace. That's a total of 7 memory that the opponent can get, and they pretty much go into their Safaga there. They're going to drop down their Digimon. They get to suspend us down with the Terramon promo first and suspend their own other Terramon. Now they gain ace overflow, back to 2 memory, and they can pretty much like swing twice into us, beating us down and taking damage as they sort of even the playing field. But I felt okay because here suddenly our security saved us. Crazy Rook's device, de-Digivolve 2, which they don't have immunity against options either. So now we get to steal the turn and potentially turn all of this around. Dorumon comes out, Mind Link underneath again, typical combo. so that we can now draw a card. I'm going to use Protoform because I'm missing a Daruga, so I get into Dex Daruga instead. Of course, I find a Daruga after the fact, but that's okay because I'm going to trash a card away, gain that memory, and then I'm going to go defense training into Cyberdra X so that I can reuse my device option cards, set out the king, pop the queen, D-Digivolve, and then DP reduce the unsuspended promo Terramon, and then now I can potentially try to clear the board here. Also, the one thing is I don't like about this is I want the Rook device because I need some extra DP buffs. Although Cyber X is only 10k, if I swing over something, I do have piercing because of Coast K, and I could lose my stack here, which I do run into a Safaga Ace, and I unfortunately lose the whole thing, but that's okay. There was no ace overflow, and I kind of calculated that beforehand. That's why I didn't go into the Cyberdra Ace, and I didn't feel like I need to. So I do lose my stack, but I have Protoform recovery. I can recycle a piece that I need, which I really like. Protoform is just fantastic in this deck, which really compensates for the weirder ratios that I have with not as many rookies and not as many level 4s I'm playing, which you guys will see in the deck profile soon, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, here I feel okay that they can't really finish us off right away. They're going to go into this rapid. We have a turn to set up, and depending, they shouldn't be able to check all of us. We have a Rio established, so then we can actually place our device options for free. And finally, there's that Rook, which we found from security. We want to set that up because I want that DP buff. This is going to be really crucial to help me swing and secure my win con for the rest of the game. I Digivolve Daruga in the back. There's no need to continue to mind link anymore with Kosuke, just because I felt like I want to make sure I have enough memory to climb into a level 6 in that following turn. And having this set up with a memory set of Kosuke and Cool Boy and a level 4 ready to go already, I should be set. I should be good, and I want to make sure I go for that lethal one next turn. So there's no need to taunt them. There's no need to go that song and dance and fancy little like control play style, because here I'm already pressuring and ready to go, and I want to see what are they going to try to do to sort of stop us. And the other thing is always making sure I'm not going to give them a Digimon on the board to work with, just because Shoto will gain the extra memory for them at the start of main too. So they do push out with the Taro here. Looks like they're probably going to climb all the way up into something. So they're going to go into Gale. And not also mention, I use the Queen's device there to pretty much suppress down that Rapidmon so it can't get any when Digivolving effects, and it's also minus 3k for that turn. And then that way I have a Queen device to use during my turn afterwards following too, just to sort of set up as much as I can. And then go into Grand Gale. By going into the new Galemon, they pretty much suspend down their Rapid. They can Digivolve into Grand Gale for a reduced cost of 1, and pretty much have 2 level 5s on the board, ending with a Medieval here at this point. But I still need to play around this because Zafaga Ace can go on top of both of those stacks, and I need to see how I can sort of like remove them or slow them down. And the best way is to de-Digivolve them to preemptively pretty much play around the aces. And here I'm calculating and see how I want to do this. I have another Dex Dorga, which is fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and Mind Link first, draw an extra card to see what I get, and then go into the BT9 Dex Dorga so that I can gain more memory along with Cool Boy, draw cards, and trash a X-Antibody that I don't need to gain and go up to 5. And here I was about to go into Cyberdra Ace, but I remember, and you guys remember too, in the last game, sometimes you don't want to go into Cyberdra Ace if it's not necessary, because you're paying extra memory for no reason. And this actually mattered because I only have 5 to work with. That means I want to find a way to go into level 5 and then go into Justimon to preserve my memory so that I'm right at 0 afterwards, or at least gain an additional 1, which I really luckily top decked the Scramble here, which gave me the okay and green light to pretty much go for that game winning play. Now, if I didn't find that Scramble, I was pretty much going to go for the board clear play instead. So I get to de-Digivolve using Cyber X, using Protoform as well to reduce the Digivolution cost, and now I can go into Justy Ace with at least 1 memory left, meaning it allows me to go into Justy X. Now, by doing that, I gain the immunity and such of their Digimon effects, so their Ace is not going to really affect us. We're going to go ahead and attack. We're going to use Cyberdra Ace first to trash our... I'm thinking between either Queen or King, but I'm actually thinking in the end I should trash King, just because I can actually cycle the Rook's device back, which I did trash earlier, so I want to gain extra DP buff to make sure I'm really swinging extra safe into their security, so that my stack no longer gets deleted. So I trash that off first, place back the Rook, and then sequence it where I use Justimon's Ace effect to trash the Rook to gain another 2k to unsuspend, where my Justimon ace now is at least 15k plus the extra 2k from Doruga and Doru, so I'm 17k going for that check, seeing if they're gonna block or not. We don't have piercing because we're not X-Antibody, and you guys can see that check actually mattered because it was a Quartzmon, and if we didn't DP buff ourselves up, we'd have been doomed. So now we have the green light to go into Justy X. I'm gonna swing with it, using Justy Ace's effect to unsuspend, trashing the Queen's device to DP reduce them and stop them from when digivolving effects, and now we get to finish it off even after the block. Make sure to get your very own Initialized Spark collection on the AVAULT store right now, and definitely watch the latest Battle Vault episode to get exclusive discount codes for this latest drop. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video, and this is AVAULT signing out.